Alright guys, it's Anthony with Super Service. This is Jeff Masters' truck. There's a long story behind this truck. I got Ryan's long block built. It's actually gone. It's back in the back. This is not a total engine rebuild, so while I was waiting on piston rings and crank grinding, all kinds of crap to get done, we went and pulled this in. Should be I mean, it's not a real long drawn out job, but it might be. It's turning into. This story with this truck, he showed up one day and it was starting to long crank, just a little bit of a long crank. He said it did it a couple minutes after he fueled up. So he didn't have the EGT sensors, did not have any EGT sensors, and it was tuned and the DPF was gone. So it was idling like 900, 1000 RPM, so it's idling high. Well, we've seen that many times. That's go ahead and put the sensors back in, even though it is deleted. Put the sensors back in it, that way it reads the resistance, and the idle came back down. It was all good. So we did that, pulled it in, and started looking at the long crank, and we was like, well, let's take a sample, and it was unleaded. Unleaded was in it. So he said he knows he grabbed it from the diesel tank, so I gave him one of our trucks and a 5-gallon can, a diesel can, and told him to run to the fuel stop right now and go buy 5 gallons out of the nozzle that he got fuel out of. So he went there, made sure it was he grabbed from the diesel nozzle and filled up, and we got 5 gallons of unleaded here. So the fuel hauler put unleaded in a diesel tank, and they sold about 500 gallons of it. Well, so then we talked to the insurance company, and you know, we saved it. We primed a high pressure fuel system. We primed the heck out of that, ran fuel through it, pumped the tank dry, just did through all of it to eliminate any future damage. But what damage was already done was unknown as of now, or as of then. So what we wound up doing, I had him make trips up to the fuel stop, and we completely filled the tank with diesel so that it got a real good dilution through it. Filled it all the way up with 5-gallon cans. He made about 6 trips or so, and the truck appeared to have survived. He only drove it about another 60 to 100 miles, maybe, something like that, because he parked it, because I kind of scared the crap out of him, because I told him if a nozzle decides to take a crap, if we got a compromised injector and that nozzle takes a crap, it's game over. The engine's gone. So basically I told him, you could be in the middle of the interstate, and if this thing starts to run rough, missing at all, any smoke coming out of the tailpipe, shut it off right freaking now and tow it. And that was just because we couldn't get to it at that moment. And you know, so you know, I mean, rightfully so, I scared the crap out of him. I told him, you could take this engine at any given second. It could take it. And but he had to drive it. He drove it for a couple of days, then he parked it, because I guess I scared the crap out of him. Well, then so now the insurance lady called me, and she said, well, if the truck left, if he drove the truck, then why do we need to put injectors in it? And I got a little crappy with her, and I told her that, you know, she obviously has no idea what's going on under the hood of a modern diesel engine, because your customer, talking about the fuel hauler, I was talking to the insurance company, I said, your customer put unleaded in a diesel tank at a fuel station. It is a rubber stamp repair to put a high pressure fuel pump and injectors in it, period. Rubber stamp, no questions asked, don't even freaking ask, just rubber stamp, write the freaking check, let's go. So she argued for a little bit, and then I guess I wound up telling her, go to the I told her to call her local Ford dealer and find out what they would suggest for unleaded contamination. So they wound up wrote a check. It was like $6,000 for injector replacement and high pressure fuel pump replacement. Now this is where it gets a little iffy, because we're gambling right now. I had just found out that there are stock nozzles available, stock size nozzles. Now granted, this is a stock base engine, no ceramic coated, no delipped, no nothing, and it's got 100 and some odd thousand miles on it, probably pushing 200,000 miles on it. It is not an option to put oversized nozzles in this truck. I gave Jeff the option to go home and research it. If he's on a forum, get on forums and take some time and type out his specific situation that's going on right now. His specific situation. Because, I mean, in my opinion, the big thing that's going to get compromised is the nozzles. You know, the fuel goes into it, and the nozzle and you know, the pins and all that. I mean, it's just the nozzles. The nozzle could have a crack in it. It could have cracked it from the unleaded actually combusting inside of the nozzle from, you know, and just compromising. I mean, I have had engines break tips off as long as 3 months after unleaded contamination. They pumped it out and they drove it for 3 months, and then the truck just shows up running like just a bag of freaking bolts, and winds up an injector tip completely has been broken off or cracked and it overfueled, you know. So Jeff came back and said that he would like to entertain doing nozzles only and not the entire injector. I mean, truck ran great. It ran fine. I mean, we never had any kind of missing or anything. And so I told him, I said, okay, at the very beginning when he was first here, I said, now be ready, because I mean, he had the EGR cooler, he had everything on it, he had stock exhaust on the back. I mean, you know, I said, now you've got a pretty good jump to do rocker arms if we need them, which I guarantee we do. We'll see. I don't know, we'll see. Undercover harness on the fuel pump and put our exhaust on. Absolute. He's got a big chunk, and then injectors. And the fuel pump is something that we're really on the fence about. We might just let it ride. But you know, I told Jeff, I said, you know, I don't have a big warm fuzzy feeling about putting reman fuel pumps in these trucks, because I mean, they're just a little bit better than 03 reman pumps, you know. I mean, just because you put a reman pump in it, you might be taking out a better pump and putting in, you might be replacing a better pump than what you're putting in. But like I said, the unleaded, the truck ran, it never did not start, it never died on him. We caught it. So, you know, I mean, what do you guys think? You guys let me know. What do you think? I mean, I know it's kind of nuts to leave the pump in there, but you know, I mean, it's, I don't know, a $1,200 gig. And like I said, if I felt all warm and fuzzy about the reman pumps, I would be pushing hard to put a pump in it. But we very likely could put a crappy pump in it. You know, we could be putting a pump in it that it's just, I don't know, who knows. But I mean, that's not set in stone yet that we're not going to do the pump. I don't know. But I gave him I told him to go home and research the fact that if we do not do machine work on the heads, if I stone them and clean them up, which we got to surface them though, you know, I mean, we need to at least surface them. Hope the valves are recessed enough if we do surface them. But if we don't surface and we just go for studs and lifters, a set of lifters and a set of studs, and put some head gaskets on it. If we do, well, what I said was it'd be about, I don't know, just bare minimum, it'd probably be pushing $2,000 by the time we buy the lifters. $2,000 extra. And I told him to go research that, because there will never be an instance in the entire life of this truck where $2,000 will get you a set of studs and a set of lifters. Never. It won't ever happen again. You know, those of you who are watching this, you all know. I mean, $2,000 is kind of, you know, I mean, you got to rob, cheat, and steal and do whatever you got to do to get that money to make sure you get some lifters and some studs, because not to mention resale value on a studded, deleted 6.4 that's had lifters put in it versus, you know, a stock one that just had injectors put in it. I mean, resale value is going to be good for a long time. Now the question that we're going to have, and you know, we might have to ride with it, I don't know, but when we take them heads off, it's boots on the ground. He's going to have to come look at the cylinders and decide, because but like I said, we're not, I don't know, you know. Let's just hope we don't see anything concerning when we take the heads off. Let's freaking hope not. But so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and just go through, break it down, injectors out, We can get stock size nozzles, so we're still debating on whether to do the stock nozzles or to just put Ford reman injectors in it. You know, I mean, we're just trying to keep a package put together. You know, we try to cater to every type of customer, you know, whether it be the ones that just want to go through it, done, make it happen, make it right, like Ryan's doing. Ryan's going all in. Or the ones that, you know, I mean, it's a truck and you know, they're not really in love with it, but it is a nice truck. He just had rockers and all kinds of work done. He had all kinds of work done under here. Yeah, so, you know, I mean, and we are going to be replacing all the exhaust manifold bolts. Well, whether we studded it or not, I was going to yank the manifolds off, clean them all up, and put new bolts torqued to 18 foot-pounds, because I would just about guarantee that, that's my opinion, is that these bolts were torqued to 28 foot-pounds at the factory, just like the 6-liter bolts. And they started breaking bolts off, so they backed the torque off to 18 foot-pounds. That's my opinion to what the deal was with why there's different torque spec on the same freaking bolt. Yeah, so I don't know, I just thought I'd make a little update video. Darian's taking the fuel pump apart, cleaning the fuel pump right now. We always take everything apart and disassemble so that we can clean and paint and get all that put back together. And now it's time to break this down. This is what his parts are going to look like. These are Ryan's parts. That is not paint, guys. That is not paint. That's just polished. Same with the rocker boxes. That is not paint. You know, fuel bowl. That is not painted. Let me tell you, that's not painted. That is freaking, that's just plain. Which, I don't know, just a little update on Jeff's. He did get Bilstein 5100s all the way around. It's freaking awesome. I don't know what Darian's been doing. He ain't got them on yet. What the hell? Yeah, just a quick update on this truck. It's kind of got a story to it. It's really not a long drawn out job. Let's hope not. Let's hope we don't see anything concerning, anything that causes us to get deeper. But we are planning, the original plan was cab off, put our exhaust on, which, hang on a second, let me go over here. Right here, this is our exhaust. We use OEM flanges, Vibrant. These are Vibrant flex joints. Seal up the exhaust, the EGR provision pipe. Right here, we have these on the shelf. We make them for 6.4s too. We also make them for 6 liters. We make that stuff. That's all our stuff. Make them out of the actual OEM flanges. Just because, I mean, we ain't got to reinvent the wheel, and there's never an issue with the flanges here, so we ain't got to reinvent the wheel. Just make it happen. Yeah, so we're kind of trying to focus on this. We got a couple other trucks that we need to get in, but I need to get this on a rolling process here. We need to get some parts taken off and get it cleaned up, get it ready to go back together. Another thing we're going to have to do is we got to see if the front cover is cavitated. There's just so much stuff. I don't think, if you're watching this, I don't think I mentioned about front cover cavitation, but it happens. And at the cost of a coolant pump O-ring, I think we ought to yank that sucker off and at least look. Because if the front cover cavitates all the way through, if there are bubbles on it and it cavitates through, you will have coolant and oil. And it's a 6.4 life issue. That happens on 6.4s. I mean, it just does. But not all of them suffer from it. But it is another issue that, you know, we just have to inspect and check, make sure that it's all good. I'll make another video later and show you guys what the intake's going to look like when it gets done, because it won't look like that. He didn't have a lot of blow-by. That's actually pretty good for a 6.4 that has the cab up. That's not bad. I mean, it looks nasty to someone, I guess. You know, it could look nasty if you was never seen it before, but it also did have a failed EGR cooler. I think it probably all dried out, but it was completely full. It was full of coolant. The intake elbow where the EGR valve goes, or before the valve, but it was tuned to have the valve shut off. So, you know, he didn't get to have a bunch of steam coming out the exhaust, which, I mean, 6.4s don't really suffer from massive steam coming out the exhaust issues, but you know, stuff happens. So there's wood chips and crap down in there. All right, so just a quick little video. I don't know, just throwing an update out here on Jeff's truck. So I'll make another video. Maybe I told him we'd get it broke down, and maybe when I lift the valve covers off, I'll make a video and show the rockers. And I kind of gambled, and I told him, I said, if all these rockers are good, I think, now I said hopefully I don't have to pay up on this, but if all these rockers are good, I told him I'll buy him a set of rockers, because I do not believe that they're all going to be good. Now, I don't know, hopefully I don't have to buy a set of rockers, but you know, I just don't. If one tip is bad on any of the rockers, replace them all. Put a full set on all the way around. Rockers, valve bridges. Valve bridges are dirt freaking cheap. You know, they're freaking cheap. Yeah, but the big kicker is to get some lifters in it. So damn, that's a long video. All right guys, I gotta get to work. Have a good day.